Before the game, if someone would have said that you're going to get 4 points in these last 2 games, you probably would have taken that, you know. But based on the way that we played in the second half and the beginning of the first half, you have to go away being a little bit disappointed that you haven't been able to get yourself above the line, which is what our aim was before we started these last 2 games. And we showed tonight that we're more than capable of doing that. The problem is, and like I said before, you know, the teams usually at the bottom do have defensive frailties, and they were obvious to be seen tonight. Even though I thought that we did buck our ideas up, and our centre halves, Stephen, Nedham and Clint, showed that they could put us back in the game. Their resilience helped us to get back in the game. All in all, disappointed at this moment, but in the cold light of day, probably would have taken the 4 points over the last 2 games.
Kind of a strange one for you, really, because when Charlie scored that goal, you must have thought we could hold out there.
Well, I thought we could, and I thought all in all we did. But a free kick is a free kick. You know, at that stage, I think most of their attacking options had been exhausted, and it's a long time. You know, when you're with how many 8 minutes. I think it's a heart attack time for managers. That, you know, you can see that you're going to win, but you know there's a chance that anything could happen, a corner or a free kick, or, you know, one bit of magic and they're back in the game. I mean, fortunately for us, we've come away with a point.
Would you agree that a point is more use to Villa than it is to you at this stage of the season?
I think it is. I think it is, because what it does, it keeps the status as it is. So, you know, they've still got a bit of credit. They've still got a bit of credit. You know, they can afford to maybe not win their next game, and it still puts the pressure on us quite a bit. But what's heartening for us is that we've performed very well, and we've really shown that we do have the ability to survive.
You've also put together 2 results which you haven't done before, you know.
Yeah.
It's been a run of losses, and now you've stopped that, haven't you?
Yeah, we're just hoping that we can keep that, you know, this weekend against Chelsea, which we know is going to be a very difficult game, which all the games are in the Barclays Premier League. You know, they're all difficult, but mixed feelings about the game tonight. Mixed feelings.
Chris, you said that you targeted 4 points in these 2.
We didn't target that. We targeted to win, but, you know, we would have taken it.
Have you got an idea of what you need from the rest?
I don't know what we need, but I think we're probably going to have to win 3 games, aren't we? Probably, you know, I don't know exactly what the points total will be, because it varies, but I think that we know that our 2 home games are going to be very important. We've got 2 home games after the Chelsea game, so we know that our next home games are going to be very important, and we've got you know, we've got a couple of very difficult ones as well in Liverpool and Man City, and then obviously we've got the potential cup final against Leicester at the last game of the season. And to be honest with you, I think most teams near the bottom now would take being in it right till the end, and then roll the dice. What you don't want to do is start being detached, where every game becomes such a big mountain to climb that the players show the anxiety that they showed in the first half today.
You roll the dice. How lucky do you feel?
I don't know. I know it's not about luck, because at the end of the day, over the course of a season, the table probably tells its own story, you know. I feel that the players are capable of surviving, and I think there's a belief in the camp that they are capable of surviving, and everybody around the ground, around the training ground, there's no doom and gloom. Everybody's upbeat, everybody trains properly, everybody tries their best to do what's required. So I feel we're quite together at the moment. I think the players will be going back on that coach very disappointed that we didn't get the points.
You've been a bit unlucky as well, and you've run into Ben Teki, who's quite formidable, and he's in that form, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's a formidable player, and but I thought second half we did a good job on him. In the second half, and you know, when you're playing against people that can pull out a little bit of magic, you know, sometimes you just got to put your hand up and say, look, he's taking a free kick, fantastic strike, hits the post and go in. You know, against a top-class goalkeeper that will, you know, anywhere else he probably would save it on the form that he's been in this season. And believe it or not, the players are in there debating now. You know, oh, should we, you know, which I like because they do feel it. And they do realise that we have had some fantastic support from the fans who have come in today, you know, and filled up that end again, same as they did at the weekend. And all we hope is that they keep believing in us, and we're going to keep trying our best to show them that we want the team to stay up.
Chris, you spoke beforehand about the strange feeling that might be between. You spoke beforehand about the strange going up against Tim, obviously so well. What was it like during that match, given it was such a emotional match of highs and lows?
I'm sure he didn't even realise I was on the other side, and I didn't, you know, because, you know, ultimately once we crossed that line, you know, we're representatives of both our clubs, so, you know, there's no sentiment when once the game is being played, you know, and you know, I'm glad for him that he got a point, but sad for me that we got a point. If you understand where that comes from, you know, we didn't have really hardly any interaction on the side, you know.